The proverb, "Pride comes before a fall," is a timeless piece of wisdom that warns against the dangers of arrogance and overconfidence. It reminds us that excessive pride often leads to mistakes, failures, and humiliation. The phrase originates from the Bible, specifically from the book of Proverbs 16:18, "Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Throughout history, literature, and everyday life, countless examples show that those who become overly self-satisfied or look down on others eventually face downfall. This lesson is not only moral, but also practical. Pride, when it turns into arrogance, blinds us to reality, stops us from learning, and pushes us toward risky decisions. By exploring the meaning, origin, examples, and moral lessons of this proverb, we can understand why humility is one of the greatest virtues a person can cultivate. The saying essentially conveys that arrogance and overconfidence are often the root causes of failure. While being proud of one's achievements can be healthy, excessive pride crosses the line into vanity and contempt for others. This kind of pride makes people believe they are infallible, leading them to ignore warnings, advice, or potential risks. For example, a student who consistently gets high grades may begin to believe they no longer need to study. Eventually, their performance may drop because they underestimated the importance of preparation. Similarly, a business person who becomes overconfident after early success may take reckless risks, only to suffer financial loss. The proverb, therefore, is not against confidence, it is against the dangerous arrogance that blinds people to reality. The origin of the phrase can be traced to the Bible. "Pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall." Proverbs 16:18. This verse from the Old Testament emphasizes that pride is often followed by ruin. In ancient societies, arrogance was considered a dangerous moral flaw because it disrupted social harmony and led to poor decision-making throughout history. Philosophers, poets, and moralists have echoed this idea. Ancient Greece, the concept of hubris, excessive pride, or defiance of the gods, often led to tragedy in Greek plays. Characters like King Oedipus or Achilles suffered downfall because of their pride. Shakespearean drama in plays like Macbeth, King Lear, and Hamlet, the hero's pride contributes heavily to their tragic ends. Eastern philosophy, many teachings in Buddhism, Confucianism, and Sufism emphasize humility, warning against ego and self-importance. The message is universal. Unchecked pride invites failure. Modern psychology offers a clear explanation for why pride often leads to a fall. When people become overconfident, they tend to underestimate challenges. Believing a task is easy, they may neglect preparation, ignore feedback, thinking they know best, they dismiss valuable advice, take unnecessary risks. Overconfidence makes them overestimate their abilities, alienate others. Arrogant behavior can drive away support systems, leaving them vulnerable. This mental state can be compared to driving at high speed without checking the road ahead. Sooner or later, a crash is inevitable. 1. The Titanic disaster. The Titanic was famously called unsinkable by its builders and operators. This pride led to complacency. Lifeboats were insufficient, warnings about icebergs were ignored, and the ship sailed at high speed in dangerous waters. The result was one of history's worst maritime disasters. 2. Napoleon Bonaparte. Early military successes made him overconfident. His pride led him to invade Russia in 1812. Without fully preparing for the harsh winter and the logistical challenges, the campaign ended in disaster, marking the beginning of his downfall. 3. The fall of tech giants. Many once dominant companies like Kodak or Nokia suffered decline because they were too proud of their past successes to adapt to new technology. Their overconfidence blinded them to changing markets, allowing competitors to surpass them. 1. Macbeth by William Shakespeare. Macbeth's ambition and pride drive him to commit regicide. Convinced of his invincibility, he ignores warnings and eventually meets a violent end. 2. The tortoise and the hare. Aesop's fabled the hare, confident in his speed, mocks the slow tortoise and takes a nap mid. His arrogance cost him victory, as the steady tortoise wins. 3. Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Victor Frankenstein's pride in his scientific abilities leads him to create life without considering the consequences. His creation ultimately brings tragedy to himself and others. Examples from everyday life. Sports. A team leading by a large margin might underestimate the opponent, only to lose in the final moments because they stopped trying their best. Academics. A student might skip studying for a test they think will be easy, only to fail because they overestimated their preparation. Workplace. An employee might think they are too skilled to need training, only to be outperformed by colleagues who kept learning. It is important to distinguish between healthy pride and harmful pride. Healthy pride motivates people to achieve goals, take care of themselves, and maintain dignity. Harmful pride leads to arrogance, recklessness, and disrespect for others. For instance, a skilled surgeon should take pride in their abilities, but must also remain humble enough to keep learning new techniques and listen to colleagues. Stay humble in success. Success should be celebrated, but never taken as proof of invincibility. Humility keeps a person grounded. Listen to advice. Pride can make people ignore warnings, but listening to others often prevents mistakes. Acknowledge limitations. Nobody is perfect. Recognizing one's limits helps avoid overconfidence. Balance confidence with caution. Confidence is necessary to take action, but it should be tempered with awareness of risks. In the age of social media, the temptation for pride and arrogance is even stronger. People often project perfect images of themselves online, sometimes becoming blind to their real weaknesses. This can lead to personal, professional, or reputational downfall. In business, politics, and sports, the proverb serves as a reminder that success is fragile. Leaders who ignore this truth often find themselves replaced by more adaptable and humble individuals. Most religions emphasize humility as a virtue and warn against pride. Islam teaches that arrogance kibra is a sin, as it prevents submission to God's will. Christianity considers pride one of the 7 deadly sins. Buddhism teaches that ego is an obstacle to enlightenment. From a moral standpoint, humility fosters cooperation, learning, and kindness, all essential for a balanced society. The proverb, "Pride comes before a fall," is as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. It reminds us that arrogance and overconfidence are dangerous companions to success. History, literature, and daily life are filled with examples of individuals and institutions brought low by their own pride. The lesson is clear. Success should be paired with humility. Confidence should be balanced with caution, and self-respect should never cross into contempt for others. By keeping our pride in check, we not only protect ourselves from failure, but also earn the respect and trust of those around us. In short, humility is not a weakness, it is the foundation of lasting success.